So, Armenia, Azerbaijan, shit is going on. Let me pull up this article we got from Moon of Alabama. I almost said it right the first time. So if you didn't hear, fam, there has been a ceasefire that has gone on in Nagorno-Karabakh, but it's unlikely to hold. So let's read a lot of this article. This is one of the better articles I saw out there. I was reading a lot about it. Because if you start thinking about this conflict, and we've been talking about this too, Turkey is siding with Azerbaijan, you know what I'm saying? And then you have and they're assisting this country against Armenia, who, once again, you have the Armenian genocide and their long-standing, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say war, but...
quagmire.
Whatever it is, with Turkey and Armenia, their conflict, whatnot, they've been at each other's throats for a long, long time. And so let's read about this. This is the ceasefire in Nagorno-Karabakh is unlikely to hold. Armenia and Azerbaijan have agreed to a ceasefire in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The war over Nagorno-Karabakh was already near a stalemate. While the attacking of Azerbaijan troops were able to gain a few uninhabited villages in southern lowlands, success elsewhere it was scarce. They compensated for that by using loitering ammunition from Israel and Turkey against badly camouflaged Armenian tanks and by shelling civilians in a place called Stepanakert, the capital of Nagorno-Karabakh. So we asked Mark Sobotta when he was on the show just about this paragraph right here. It's like, what is the end game for Azerbaijan? They want to get that land back. They want to get that territory back. Now remember, Azerbaijan is a much more richer country than Armenia. There's a lot of oil over there. So I think they thought with Turkey's help, they can just roll over this area and Armenia would pull out, get out of that region and give it back to them. That is not the case. Russia decided that it was the right time to intervene. After 3 weeks, another situation happened where you have thousands of civilians that are getting killed right here. So Russia decided it was a time right now. We have to do something before this gets out of hand. Yesterday, the foreign ministers of Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Russia met in Moscow. After 10 hours of talks, they agreed to a ceasefire. A ceasefire agreement in Nagorno-Karabakh starting at noon on October 10th has been reached, which is just a couple days ago. And after a trilateral consultations in Moscow between foreign ministers of Russia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, the Russian foreign minister Sergei Lavrov said on Saturday, a ceasefire is declared beginning at noon with humanitarian aid of exchanging prisoners of war and other captured persons, as well as the exchange of bodies of victims, with the facilitation of the International Committee of the Red Cross and in line with its regulations. Lavrov stated early on Saturday, signing a joint statement signed by the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now listen, this is just a ceasefire. They're grabbing up troops. They're exchanging prisoners. They're giving more civilians time to leave, trying to tape it up. But a lot of people in the community, fam, in the foreign policy community, don't think it's going to last long. The details of the ceasefire will still have to be worked out. Both parties agreed to future negotiations should a ceasefire hold. The republics of Azerbaijan and Armenia, with the mediation, I almost said meditation, of the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs, and based on the principles of the conflict settlements, begin practical negotiations with the main task of reaching the peace settlement as soon as possible. The statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry reads. Now, the interesting thing about this, fam, is that if you go down to the next kind of paragraph, there was a group that was left out of it. Turkey was left out of these talks.
Right. Noticed.
Erdogan was really, really pissed off. He wanted a seat at the table at Moscow. That's why he kind of facilitated this whole kind of malarkiness going on. And not for nothing, fam. We talk about Erdogan and his actions. It has been really outlandish and out of hand. What he did in Syria with jihadists, what he did in Yemen with jihadists. He has caused problems with both sides all over the place. He's stuck his nose in there just so he can get a seat at the table with Russia whenever he wants to, when he thinks he can sit down and get something done. So his way of working things with this kind of like neo-Ottoman Empire kind of mentality of, of expanding, Turkey's influence in that region, the way he goes about doing it, a lot of people die when he does it. Now he's been sending jihadists over there on a regular basis. We're going to get into that. But he was not invited to the table. It says Turkey's wannabe Sultan Erdogan is miffed about this. Today, he demanded a seat at the table. The Russians mediated a ceasefire with Azerbaijan and Armenia over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region cannot be considered a solution to the conflict, the Turkish Foreign Ministry has said, reaffirming its support from Baku. The suspension of hostilities in a contested region brokered in Moscow overnight is an important first step, but it will not replace a permanent solution, Ankara said on Saturday. Turkey will continue to stand by Azerbaijan on the battlefield and at the negotiation tables. The statement from the Turkish Foreign Ministry added.
Was it a good idea? Should they have reached out to him to have a proper seat at the table? Do you think it would have done anything?
Now, listen, I won't have the best answer on this. People like Mark Sloboda will be a little bit, more knowledgeable when it comes to this, but I think it's great. I think it's great. So you want to cause problems? I don't give a shit. It's not going to work. You're not getting a seat at a table. This is an ex-Russian country, and just because you support them, we sell them weapons too. We have a lot of deals with them. We're going to work out a deal with them in Armenia.
It doesn't
not
concern you, in other words.
It doesn't. But once again, Erdogan is always trying to stick his nose in there. You know how many people died in Syria because of Erdogan? I mean, it's ridiculous what he did. And the jihadists, just sending the jihadists.
Well, that's our ally, though.
Yeah. Well, Max Blumenthal put this tweet up here because I want to understand a little bit of a history of this region and whatnot and stuff. Because let's start off with Murad Gazdiev's tweet there. It says 119 Syrian mercenaries have been killed fighting in Azerbaijan. 78 bodies have been returned to Syria. The Syrian Observatory of Human Rights says. SOHR adds that 1,450 Islamist fighters have been transported to Azerbaijan since the conflict began, and another 400 are on the way. So we're talking about 2,000 mercenaries, jihadists, being sent by Erdogan to the front lines of Armenia right now. Well, the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which is technically greater Azerbaijan, but as we know, that region has been controlled, and mostly those Orthodox Christians of Armenia live there. So now you have this kind of jihadist kind of Christians versus Muslim war going on, and it could spin really out of hand. And also just Max Blumenthal, he likes to just reiterate, just a few years ago, officials in Obama's State Department were celebrating these mercenaries as humbled farmers and doctors, and comparing them to the men who won America's war for independence.
I mean, just like they celebrated the White Helmets, which are just an auxiliary group for the jihadists, for Al-Qaeda type of groups. I mean, this is why they're trying to shut down journalists that I covered yesterday or this morning about, exposing the fake Syrian chemical attacks, because these are U.S. and Western war crimes. This is U.S. and UK fomented terrorism. This is our creation. I mean, at the end of the day, what Erdogan's doing is also what our government, our military industrial complex is doing. And the UK government has also participated in this, along with their allies of Turkey, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. That is what's really going on. And then you have Russia, Iran, Syria, and now with this conflict with the Armenians and Azerbaijan, you have another added layer to this whole Eastern conflict.
And let me tell you something. It's a headache for Russia what's going on over there right now, fam. It is a real big headache. And a lot of times, we've heard Donald Trump talk about NATO needs to pay their fair share. This is ridiculous. We're not going to pick up the bill. But, if NATO still exists, you can use your power within NATO to say, hey, Turkey, Erdogan, Statazi, shut up, sit down, don't get involved. But you don't do that. You don't see that happening.
Well, because he's surrounded by neocons.
Exactly, and all the Pompeos and all these other people. If it's a conflict that Russia it's a headache for Russia geopolitically, that's good for America. So therefore, we don't care if lives are being killed. Even though we have a lot of Armenian brethren here in Los Angeles, somebody should have been calling for a ceasefire right away. And Erdogan up to his tricks again. And not to just mention that, that whole comment that Max Blumenthal put up there is what Tulsi Gabbard went after Obama for. And she was criticized for it and stuff like that, saying, how dare you downplay these jihadists as just farmers and no. Yeah. These are serious jihads that when they get into these little towns and these states, when you talk about Idlib, I was talking about this with Howard Gold. Once you get these jihads get into a town, it's done. It's done because these are the worst of the worst. These are the birth of the Mujahideen, which are the most radical, crazy son of a bitches out there. And now, remember the one where you put the sign up with the ISIS sign up, and they put it in there, we shoot it up, and then we take the ISIS sign out and go? That's what this is all about.
Yeah, it's same thing, same shit, different name. And you said it right there. I mean, this is exactly what keeps happening over and over again. And Max Blumenthal pointed it out. And I just think we need to keep talking about things like this, because our Armenians, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, they tend to vote more conservatively, don't they? In LA, that's been what I've
really
seen.
To tell you the truth, they don't necessarily vote conservative or liberal. They more or less, and there's been a bunch of Armenian Trump supporters right now and whatnot, and they're out there and stuff. There was a bunch for Tulsi, whatnot. They go more who aligns with them geopolitically. You know what I'm saying? The reason why they stuck that area where there's a lot
party right now.
It's neither party right now, but I mean, with Tulsi got a lot of play from them because once again, she was against the jihad, she was against the Saudi Arabian government,
and
she was
that's
against
another
Turkey.
Thing. You're anti-Muslim. They use that trope really quickly,
very much,
because it's like no. Journalists have literally outlined how there are extremist groups that were created and funded by the West.
Exactly.
And were backed by the West in these coups. And, everything that we tried to do to Assad and the vilification of Assad, etc. But that's a reality. That's not anti-Muslim bigotry. That's a reality. Just like when you criticize the state of Israel, it is not anti-Semitism. You're criticizing their pro-imperialist takes and what they're doing to the Palestinian people, which, of course, nobody in America really in government is talking about enough at all.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's people who this is their main wheelhouse. They're over in that region. They follow this on a regular basis. But what we're doing over here right now, this needs to be talked about. That's why we bring these things up. We have to at least have a basic understanding about what's going on. We have to take out some of our time from our domestic world and look what's going on foreign policy-wise. It does make a difference. It's where money is spent. It's the way, I mean, and how can we say that we have serious racism at home, but ignore the racism abroad when we're bombing indigenous people left and right and whatnot? A lot of this weaponry that we see going on comes from us. NATO weapons, these weapons that these jihads got, they came from us.
Yeah.
And now they're going over there. Now, I also put up this article over here, fam, because I just wanted to confirm the numbers that Max Blumenthal, Moon of Alabama we're talking about. So I found this article over here. I was reading a lot of articles yesterday. It's got a cool little video that kind of explains things. Johnny, can we play a little bit of the video from the beginning? Well, we won't watch it all the way through, but I don't think there's any music. It's really good. But it just kind of explains and it confirms some of the jihadist numbers and what's going on.
As of October 13th, clashes between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces continue in the southern part of the contested Nagorno-Karabakh region, while on other parts of the front line, Baku and Yerevan limited their military activity to exchange of artillery and aerial strikes. The humanitarian ceasefire signed by the sides in Moscow formally remains in force, but the terms of the ceasefire are not fulfilled by both sides. The main point of instability is the town of Hardut, which Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev announced to have been liberated from Armenian occupants. However, Armenian forces apparently forgot to read his tweet and withdraw from the area. So now the Azerbaijani leader is forced to explain what's going on. On October 12th, he stated that a large group of Armenian special forces attacked the town to make a few selfies for Armenian propaganda, but the attack was repelled. Although from a strategic point of view, it does not matter so much for Armenia. They just take such a step to go there and take a selfie or report to their population. The Azerbaijani army neutralized this large group, Aliyev stressed. The Armenian military says that the town is still in the hands of its forces and that it has successfully repelled another Azerbaijani attack there. Turkey has been openly threatening Armenia with a joint Turkish-Azerbaijani advance if it does not surrender the contested Nagorno-Karabakh region to Azerbaijan. Meanwhile, Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said that Baku cannot wait for justice for another 30 years, claiming that Turkey is ready to support the fair position of the Azerbaijani side. According to Akar, if the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh is not resolved in the near future, then the next step will be the Azerbaijani-Turkish movement aimed at returning their land. Sources affiliated with Turkish-backed militant groups in Syria say that Ankara has been preparing for a new deployment of militant groups members to Azerbaijan to support its war with Armenia. If the numbers of 1,500 to 2,000 fresh militants that are set to come to Azerbaijan are confirmed, this will not only make the estimated number of Turkish proxies deployed there from 4,000 to 6,000, but also confirm that Ankara is set to use this influence to motivate Azerbaijan to opt for the scenario of a further escalation. Likely, the Turkish leadership seems that the war in Karabakh is an important turning point, which, in the event of military success, will turn into the leading power in the southern Caucasus and give additional momentum to its geopolitical expansion. It will also boost the popularity of Recep Tayyip Erdogan, that positions himself as the leader of the Turkic world and a de facto sultan of his own Neo-Ottoman Empire.
There you go.
According to the Armenian side, the Turkish
I just want to
military
get to that
is
point where we
already
kind of talk to them about the Neo-Ottoman Empire, what it's trying to going on,
Yeah.
the geopolitics of this whole situation. Once again, we've talked about Turkey and how much problems they've caused in this region with Syria, kind of fencing off with Greece now. And what he's trying to do, he's trying to make a move where, he's moving against Orthodox Christians for other Muslims that he's supporting. But now they're caught in a little bit of a quagmire because the Azerbaijani president has been saying that they've been taking little pockets of land and it shows that they're not. Inside that article, it even says right here, and they instead on the film. The main point of instability of the town of Hadrut was Azerbaijani president announced to have been liberated from the Armenian occupants. However, Armenian forces apparently forgot to read his tweet and withdraw from the area. So now the Azerbaijani leader is forced to explain what's going on. So now in this situation, he's looking like a fool, and he's standing behind Erdogan. And like I said, they thought they would just be a pushover, you know what I'm saying, in this region, whatnot. But no, the Armenians, like we know people that have said they have friends that have come, that have left LA to go back and fight in this conflict on the front lines over there, because that's how important this land is to them, whatnot, and how holy it is that they're going to hold it on, especially when Turkey has thrown its hat in the ring, being what Turkey with the genocide of how many Armenians, over 1 million Armenians, fam. So this has gotten really heated. It's spun way out of control right now. A ceasefire is in place, but we don't know how long it's going to last for. They're talking with Putin. Putin has left Erdogan out. To be continued. I got to call up Mark Sloboda and get some more insight.
Bam. Foreign policy is directly connected to our domestic policy.
But people got to
forget that.
understand the domino effect. If Turkey is getting more and more involved. Now, we see 6,000 proxies from Turkey fighting for Azerbaijan. So now if Russia gets involved with Turkey, Turkey's a NATO ally, United States will do something, and now you're spinning way out of control. Way out of control, and this touches home. The next time there is an Armenian protest or a rally, I'm going to go out there and see it. If there was an Azerbaijani one, I'd go out and see it too as well. But we're going to talk to some of the people, because this is some people who are close to us over here. Being from LA, I have a lot of Armenian friends. I've reached out to them recently to see how they're doing. To be continued, but we have to pay attention to the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let it fly by. Keep your eye on it. See what's going on. Watch America's position. America's sitting on the sidelines right now. Why, fam? Because geopolitically, it's a headache for Russia, and that's what they want. People will die because geopolitically, it plays well for Pompeo and Trump.
100%. I mean, both parties are complicit.